services. Your donation could go on to captivate a country, fuel the future, be the best dad, or support cultures to thrive. Because when you donate through Canadian Blood Services, you don't just make a difference, you make all the difference. Join Canada's Lifeline today at blood.ca.
It's closing time, and you stayed out longer than you planned. So now you can't drive, and the buses have stopped running. You could always call your girlfriend. Or maybe your roommate? What about your best friend? You could just dial 1-888 Taxi Guy or use the Taxi Guy app. The call and the app are free, and they both connect you to a local cab company to bring you home safely. Visit arrivealive.org to find out more. Arrive Alive, drive sober.
This is Rogers TV.
Hello everybody, my name is Jason Piercey and this is Out of the Fog. Fog is thick and you can't see through it, so let's take some things out of that. One is how important it is for different medical practitioners to collaborate so that you can be healthier, figure out what your issues are, and then move forward and get better. Wouldn't it be great if everybody was healthy and strong and happy? Cue tonight's two guests. We have Mr. Shane Monahan from AgeRight. You'll learn all about what he does because it's kind of cool. And also Danica Benoit-Higgins, who is a kinesiologist and a registered massage therapist. And they collaborate, but kind of unintentionally, but also intentionally. It's interesting. You're going to enjoy this. We'll be right back after this message. Welcome back to Out of the Fog. Let me take a moment to introduce you to a wonderfully talented, very well educated and trained, and ruggedly handsome
Thank you.
man, Mr. Shane Monahan. Hello, Shane.
Hello, Jason. How are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good, thanks to people like yourself. So, Shaner Trainer.
Shaner the trainer, yep.
Yeah, so a personal trainer, but also business owner, and I feel like personal trainer might be one of those terms that should be subdivided into a bunch of different groups because you sort of accomplish different things, right?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you could call a personal trainer a coach. Some people would argue a therapist.
Yep.
You know, friend.
Which is sort of the nature of this conversation, because I mean, I said in the introduction to the audience that I'm trying to get my head around our healthcare situation and the way that we're doing things and the concept of collaboration and how that's a good thing, which sort of spawns what we're doing here, because you've been my trainer since my accident when physiotherapy had gotten to its point through Eastern Health, and we've begun to work together then. So before we get into any of that stuff, let's talk about AgeRight, your business.
Sure. So we are a 50-plus health club, but you know we let you in because of who you are.
Because I told you I'd put you on TV?
And, you know, and you got a little bit of gray in the beard. So
I do. I'm getting there.
You qualify. Yeah. So we cater to 50-plus, so a lot of seniors and stuff and people like that. Our programs are maybe a little different than what you'd see at a typical box gym or commercial gym. We're one-on-one mostly, so a lot of personal training, and even our group exercise is pretty intimate as well because we keep the numbers lower. So you'll go into a class and there could be 3 people, 4 people, that kind of thing, maximum of 8 in a group class. So we can get around everybody and adjust people when needed, and you know really kind of customize their whole experience, even down to a group level. So that's what we do. Some corporate wellness as well, you know, to make companies healthier.
So let's talk about the name AgeRight, and because it sounds like you just help people age right, like more
Yeah.
comfortably.
For sure, yeah. I mean, that's a big part of what we do. We're all aging, so that's the thing. Why we don't necessarily have a cutoff for age limit. We don't turn away anybody who's younger than 50, because yeah, we are all aging, and somebody 25, 30 might feel like they're 55 or 60 sometimes. You know, well,
Man,
look at yourself.
there's days like with like the metal and stuff. There's days where I feel like I'm limping around more than my parents might be, and
Sure.
they're well into their 60s.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, it's not like you had an opportunity to like prevent anything. You know, what happened to you happened.
Mom would argue, "I told you don't get that bike."
Well, you know, you only live once, right?
Yeah,
I mean, but a big part of what we do is prevention. So you
Yes.
obviously never had the luxury there, but it's on the individual to take responsibility for their own health. You know.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about that a little bit, because I've had a lot of people, and I know I'm still talking about my accident and stuff, but it's for the benefit of like what you'll glean from the conversation.
Sure.
So I've had a lot of people say to me, "Man, like you've gotten so much better. Like, how did you get so much better? How did you?" When I had this injury, I mean, it took me 5 years to get over this, or it took me forever to heal this, and my arm is still not what it used to be. And granted, my stuff isn't what it used to be either, but it's further than people might have expected, I guess. And the first thing I think is like, well, did you do the things that the professionals told you had to do?
Right.
Because you have to take responsibility yourself.
Yeah. It doesn't work any other way. You have to put in the work and actually give it a chance. You know, that's what we try to teach people is forming habits. So if you can't build and form the habit of getting your sneakers on and doing your exercise or getting to the gym, then actually doing the exercise is not likely to happen. So you need to get good at the preparation for the activity. And it always helps to have an environment available for that, where your desired outcome and activity is perfectly normal in that environment. You're setting yourself up for success that way.
Yes, and that's a good point, because the hardest part for me of getting in to do any of the recovery training that we've been working on, the hardest part is not the stuff at AgeRight, at the gym.
No.
That's not the hardest part. The hardest part is managing my schedule around it.
Yep.
And consistently being there and blocking that time out, and then knowing that this is dedicated for this, because it's my responsibility and I deserve to be healthier.
Sure. Yeah. No. Absolutely. That's it. I mean, it's if you leave it to chance, it's not likely to happen. So the structure and removing any of that ambiguity when it comes to exercise or anything, just anything in life. If you leave it to chance and there's no plan, you're not likely to succeed with it.
And if you're intimidated by what it's going to be like when you're there,
Yeah.
that can be hard, because it'll prevent you
Sure.
from going. Like, I like to cook, and my body is healthier since I got back into cooking after
Yeah.
I was able to do so. And if you don't know anything about cooking or how to cook or any of those things, it can be intimidating. And then you don't want to do it, so you get takeout or you go out to eat because you're afraid to try or whatever. I find that the stuff that we do to help me not limp or get up over the stairs or be able to use the clutch in my car or be able, it's some of it is way simpler and more basic than I think people would expect, and that makes it easier for me to feel empowered to do the stuff on my own, so that when we get back together and you're making note of any progress, there actually is some, because I'm not just like waiting for you to do all the work for me.
Yeah,
Right?
Exactly. That's
Right?
the thing. So, if I were to throw a lot of flashy exercises at you and say, replicate these at home or on your own.
Or like big expensive equipment and stuff.
Yeah, you know, or even just complex movements with just body weight and minimal equipment. It can get complicated that way as well. So I like to keep it simple and progress on those basic exercises, because the basic stuff has been around for a long time, and it's been proven to work. So why embellish things if you don't need to, you know?
Yeah.
And
I'd like to talk a little bit about how the different subfields of medical and paramedical stuff can collaborate and should collaborate. But before we get into that, I understand that you brought some of these little bands with you.
Yeah, for sure. So like, just a little resistance band here we can do some hip work with. Like, doesn't get any more basic than that. Provides a little bit of resistance there. And this long band as well. They're a band that people have probably seen through physio and things like that. But you can do a ton of stuff with just these two simple pieces.
Let's give people some examples.
Yeah, sure, okay.
Yeah, so I'll stand up.
I mean, you could pop this on your ankles first.
Okay, this says heavy, Shane.
Well, yeah,
Can I do
you know,
heavy?
this is heavy conversation here, so I mean, why not?
So this goes down around my ankles.
Yeah, and you're going to stand out here, just over here on one side, because we're going to walk laterally across the side of the stage. So you face out this way, so you don't walk off the stage.
Okay.
And so wide stance, and you're going to take short steps, keeping that tension on the band.
And why am I doing this?
So this is going to strengthen some of the weaker parts of your hips there, just the smaller glute muscles there on the end. It starts to cook pretty quick when you do it properly. And when we're keeping the tension on the band the whole time, perfect, so the muscles don't lose the tension.
And you want to do, like, I guess, little steps, and not, because it's really easy to, like, bounce.
Oh, you could do
right?
tons of things. You let the band go slack, you could drag your feet, you can turn into I'm a little teapot type of thing and start,
So as I'm standing here and I'm like half squat and I can feel the tension, like my butt is hard as a rock.
Well, there you go. And you got the goalie butt anyways,
yeah,
right?
well, actually, I got to talk to you about this because I used to have a bum, and now I'm just back, leg. So can we work on the fact
we got
that
some work to do.
There's really nothing back there anymore.
Oh,
can we do something with that?
We're going to throw in a glute day.
We'll throw in a glute day.
All
okay.
glute. Yeah.
So for anybody who is just trying to, back to the name of the business, trying to age in a way that they're not held back by what their body wants to slow them down with. So simple things like this.
Yeah, for sure. The stuff you can do at home, and if you get the proper education with these exercises, then you can progress with them. So knowing how to make things harder or how to make things easier if needed, to adjust
and
adapt.
Something.
Yeah,
let's have a look at this.
It's all about
thing.
adapting. Yeah.
What can we do with this?
So this guy, I mean, you can do a ton of things with him too. So you'd want to anchor him around a post. I'll be your post.
You'll
so
be
you
my
grab,
post. Okay.
Grab those. And we're going to do some rowing here. So we're going to nice proud posture, chest out, shoulders back, and then you're going to row. You're going to pull your elbows into your sides.
Okay, so
and then have a staggered stance so the band doesn't want to pull you forward. Yeah, there we go. Yeah,
so just back.
Yeah, just roll like that. Perfect. Yeah, and you're getting that squeeze in between the shoulder blades, so all that muscle
I was thinking about a video I saw once where somebody like crushed a beer can with their shoulder blades.
Is that right? No, I didn't see that. Yeah, that's some serious.
Well, it was me.
Okay, yeah. You drank it first. Yeah, so you could anchor it here. You could anchor at different heights. You could go up here. Say this is.
So depending on what you're trying to accomplish.
Yeah.
Okay,
right.
and these are easy to come by, hey?
Oh yeah, these are pretty available. I mean, you can get these any of the hardware.
And this is all stuff that people can do at home.
Yeah, for sure.
Provided they had a little bit of guidance.
Sure. I mean, it'd be ideal to get like a full body type of thing put together with a couple of pieces and stuff you could do with body weight as well. Work on your, to work on your balance and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But like I said, the instruction is important, so you know how to regress and progress with exercises.
So, it's amazing how quick 10 or 15 minutes goes. So, real quick before we go. One of the reasons that I wanted to put together the episode that we're talking to the audience about now is because when I go to see you, I go to see my chiropractor, I go to see my osteopath, I go to see my massage therapist, you all talk about the value of each other. And that matters because you're really good. You can't do it all.
No, for sure. Yeah, that's why, I'm relieved when I hear about the other practitioners that someone like yourself goes to.
Yep.
And it's important to have that referral base between ourselves in our industry, because I mean, like you said, we can't do it all ourselves.
Yeah.
And it's great to have those people that that know their stuff, and you can always kind of rely on them for they're a great resource. you know.
And if the educational background is there, the discipline might be different, but the foundation is the same.
For sure, yeah. But as the client, like yourself, it's very important to take it upon yourself to educate yourself on your injury, on your issues. It's a real gift. I mean, if you think about what you've learned from what happened to you, you've learned a lot about your body and how you respond to different things.
And now I can't shut up telling other people about their problems.
and I've learned from it too, right? So it's,
Shane, man, thank you so much for coming out. Greatly appreciate it. And thank you for all your help with myself as a side thing.
My pleasure.
I'll take you out for a beer and we can crush the cans with our shoulder blades another time.
Let's do it.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this. Welcome back to Out of the Fog. I would like to introduce you to, well, Danica Benoit-Higgins. I just call you D because I call people by nicknames sometimes.
It's fine. You get permission.
Yeah. Hi.
Hi.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. This hour of my day was booked out anyway. Usually, because we meet at this time of the day that like mostly weekly. Mm-hmm. So for context, Danica, you are a kinesiologist and a personal trainer and a therapeutic massage therapist?
Registered
massage therapist? Okay, got it. So you've been helping me through my recovery after a motor vehicle accident. And you also know Shane.
Yes.
Trainer, who I chatted with a bit before this. And kind of the story that we're telling here is how these individual sections of Medicare and the medical industry and these paramedical fields.
Allied health professionals, if you will.
Allied health professionals, there you go. How the services that you provide are very collaborative and very helpful. And I think people miss out on what they are, because the word masseuse has always meant something entirely different in the back of people's heads.
Absolutely. So first of all, that is definitely something that we are trying to change the connotation with, of course.
Yeah.
Trying to go as much for the registered massage therapist designation, to know that there is an accredited education and standards of practice that we are following.
And it's a medical intervention.
Absolutely.
It really is. Like I'll say to people, like, I mean, even when I talk to my injury lawyer and he's getting like an update on stuff, and he's saying like, what services are you doing, what healthcare stuff? And I'm like, well, I still got massage once a week, and I got my chiropractor, and I go to an osteopath or acupuncture, and my physical trainer, and all this stuff. And some of my friends would be like, oh, some nice gets to get a massage every week. I'm like,
if
nah,
you knew,
dude.
If you knew how our hours went.
I'm fighting back tears, and sometimes it is not comfortable. It does not feel good in the moment.
Not all, but of course always with the goal of something greater. And there's always a time and a place for the more uncomfortable techniques.
Stop defending yourself.
Well, I mean, we always have the greater goal in mind.
Yes, of course.
But as long as we are still accomplishing those goals, that's the biggest thing. You know, as long as we are improving pain levels, improving mobility, stability with stuff, you know, keeping a balance between all different aspects of the body that might be impacted. I mean, that's always what we're trying to go for. Unfortunately, sometimes some of those approaches can involve some uncomfortable application of techniques.
For sure. But it's in the moment.
Absolutely, and it's only temporary, right?
Exactly, and then later you feel so much better on account of it.
As long as that is the case.
It's so far.
In the general global sense, of course, for you yourself too.
So far it is the case. So in your practice, you do a fair amount of recovery type work from injury, motor vehicle, or otherwise. Is that something, was that an intention, or did it just sort of come about that you had a knack for it? Like, how did you get into that part?
That part specifically was personal experience, actually.
Well, here we go.
Well, a number of years ago, actually, ironically enough, it happened while I was in massage therapy school. I was rear-ended by a dump truck. I was stopped making a left-hand turn, waiting for the good old Metro bus to go by, and a dump truck hit me and drove me across the road. Thankfully, the bus had already gone by, so I didn't get hit on the front either.
Because nobody would have believed that you got stuck between a bus and a dump truck. Like, that's too far-fetched. I think that sounds made
It's brutal. Yeah, definitely. And I was on the way to a massage treatment.
Oh, my goodness.
So, I mean, to make it even better. But what followed that was my own personal rehabilitation journey with stuff like that. I mean, learning about it in school is definitely one thing. Treating clients that are going through it is certainly another thing, and you can still have fantastic experience like that. But to be able to understand exactly what somebody's going through when they're trying to describe how their day is impacted by their whiplash symptoms and that sort of thing, I personally feel like it's had a lot of an impact on how much empathy I have for people.
Sure.
But as well, just to kind of promote me to be a little bit more creative in some of the different approaches that I take. So a lot of the hands-on techniques are, focused and applied in session. But I found that there was so much else lacking for my own treatments outside of clinic time.
So so I had a similar conversation with Shane, and also with like physiotherapists that I've seen, my chiropractor, everybody else. And people come up to me and they're like, man, you're doing so great, that's amazing. Like, how did you get better? It takes so long to get better. Like, I never got better. Well, did you do the stuff they told you to do?
Did you do the recommended things?
But that matters, because you've been through that experience.
Absolutely.
And I've noticed, and now I have context for it, because I've always, and I don't know if I've ever said it to you or not, but I've always thought that, like, you have a way of explaining to me why the thing that's happening is necessary because of the other things that are related to it.
Absolutely.
And I think that's as much about lived experience as it is about education.
I think so. Again, only speaking from personal experience, not saying that you need to have gone through these things to have empathy for people, but it kind of just puts things in a different context, a different perspective, and it could change people's approach.
I don't know if you need to, but if you look at Channel, no, they rebranded themselves.
It's the peer support network, right?
Yeah, exactly. That's the concept. Like, you can't be a counselor there, or you can't answer their warm line, or you can't unless you have lived experience.
Absolutely.
Because how else there's a reason why people go to AA to help with addiction, alcohol addiction, and they don't go to somebody who's never had a drink before, because you don't speak the same language.
Exactly. And I think that's a really good way of putting it too, is speaking the same language, being able to describe the symptoms, but also then me myself knowing what's worked when I had some of those symptoms myself. I'm like, this is probably going to work best for you, as opposed to needing to, see a client in a similar situation, send them off, get them to try whatever X, Y, and Z recommendations are for home, come back and then report back to me. It's a little bit more real time figuring this stuff out as I'm going. So definitely, that's certainly why I've had such a big focus on helping people with activity of daily living modifications at home, ergonomic stuff at work, any amount of sleep hygiene things that could be impacting how we feel physically in the mornings.
Yeah, so like, because you're involved in all of these things, like, what's your favorite part of it? Like, what is the part that really, like, if you could only talk about this and do this all the time, what's that bit?
Oh, it's so hard to know, honestly. That's why I still have my hands in a few of the different aspects of it, because it's so interconnected. That's the thing. Like, one of the biggest things that I like to preach about, but also practice when I preach, is balance in whatever context that means for you. That is going to look different for everybody. Balance is never a stagnant thing anyways. It's always going to ebb and flow.
By definition, it has to move.
Exactly, right? So we're always going to kind of try to find that equilibrium as time goes on, and people people's circumstances definitely change, but all of these different factors are influential on somebody's overall health and wellness balance, we'll say.
Yeah.
So I definitely find that, it's not necessarily one sole thing in particular that I try to focus on, but really it's just getting people moving a little bit more.
Yeah, and
right?
that's a good segue, kind of, because the whole point of this is to talk about the value of collaboration in the healing process and in healthcare and in preventative maintenance in a big way. So there's lots of times that we will start a session and you'll ask, like, were you at the gym this week? Like, what did you do? What did you work on here? Because it can impact what you should be doing for the best benefit of everybody moving forward.
Absolutely. Like if in particular you're at the gym with Shane and you say, you're on the bike and your hip was hurting. Well, maybe that means a little bit more focus this week on your hip between myself and your chiropractor kind of thing. Maybe that means to send along a stretch or a recommendation or something to Shane just to be like, hey, can you squeeze this one little exercise in the rest of your rigmarole of prep for whatever exercises and stuff he's taking you through. So, it's definitely, we're just so complex. Humans are so complex in general, right? There's so many different things that are influential.
That's the definition of kinesiology, isn't it? The study of how complex our bodies are and how we move and all, or basically.
The study of human movement, which is a very complex thing in and of itself, to say the least, right? And we can't say, straighten up your neck and shoulders for better posture so that you alleviate tension there if you have situations
I'm
happening.
literally thinking about
I know, right?
how I
Little
feel in the
check.
moment. I'm like,
everybody always straightens off a little bit more in their chair when I start talking about posture. But yeah, so it's hard to say something like that without being like, okay, well, how is your lower back and your hips doing this week? Or, are there any other things, like, are your knees paining or something, right? Because all of these different things also contribute to how you're holding your neck and shoulders.
Well, it's like that song. How does it go? The leg bone's connected to the knee bone. The knee bone's connected to the mouth tone. Yeah. So because it's actually true.
It absolutely is. Yep, 1000%. I was reading something recently, actually, talking about a line of fascia that starts in the arch of your foot and goes all the way up through your center. So fascia being the connective tissue around your muscles, it goes all the way up to insert next to your tongue and jaw. Now, I still need to do a little bit more research to find out the specifics on it.
There's literally connective tissue in like
all the way down here.
Like the ball of my foot, kind of, or like in the arch that comes right up into my neck.
Yeah. So depending on how you're standing on your feet, you could have more jaw tension on one side versus another.
Okay, we're going to look at this now. Next week, because this week's massage time I wasted. I'm telling you guys all about it. I'm not paying for this, Danica. Anyway, thank you very much for coming out. You have been, I don't want to say a lifesaver, but you've been a mobility and comfort saver.
I appreciate that.
For sure.
Well,
thank you very much.
I'm honored to be able to help.
My pleasure. All right, and thank you guys. We'll be right back after this. Welcome back, friends.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
If you have a comment about this program, we'd love to hear it. Email or call us, or send us your feedback through social media.
After a night out with your friends, there's always options for getting home safely. You could call your BFF, your mom or dad, whoever you can count on for a safe